What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy back with another one. People. Oh, this is dope, man. Seriously, like things are getting serious in South Africa. People. South Africa has now become, well, South Africa is now officially the methamphetamine capital of the world. Did you know that? I didn't even know that. We consume, we as in our met tech users, Nyaupe users, are now the number one users, consumers of tech or Nyaupe, which is basically methamphetamine. And since we are now the number one, it means we are the biggest market. And you know what that is doing? That is now attracting the biggest producers, suppliers of the world to our shores. I was shocked to learn that the Mexican cartels are now here, predominantly the Sinaloa cartel and the CJNG. People, this is huge. This is big news if you didn't know. Now, here's the thing, a lab to the value of $25 million. That's like 300 million rand. That is a massive factory, right? High tech everything, right? Was located in the Mpumalanga region. And guess who was caught in there? Five Mexican nationals and one Israeli. Guys, for the longest of times, we've always been looking at the Nigerians and blaming them for the drug and the sin, justifiably so, right? At the time, right? Now, the tides have shifted. It looks like, yeah, the big players have now decided to come and claim their rightful place in South Africa. So, how did this epidemic start? Well, according to sources and rumors, it all began with the Chinese and with the whole, I don't know, fishing story. Like, so it was a trade off, right? It's like, okay, you give us petalum and we will give you precursors to tech, to methamphetamine. That seemed like a good trade-off. So the South African gangsters started trading petalum for methamphetamine, and it became a viable business. It grew into this massive, profitable business, and it flooded the streets of Cape Town, Durban, Johannesburg. All the major cities have been hit by this pandemic of Turk and Yaube, which is known as methamphetamine. So, who would want to be left out of this if you know that you are a big producer supplier? Why would you want to be left out of such a lucrative deal? You wouldn't want to be, right? So, the thing is, these people have now decided that they are coming here to claim their piece of the pie, as it were, right? So, the piece of the pie is going to be something that is worth millions, hundreds of millions, hundreds of millions potentially, because obviously they don't want to be seen as, I don't know, small fish, small scale, I don't know, maybe, but at the end of the day, it's almost like they feel like they're losing out on market share. And the sad thing about this is that we are we are giving them a reason to be here. I mean, I know that we all know someone who either is a drug user, or we know someone who knows someone who is a drug user, right? Luckily for me, I don't have any direct drug users in my family per se. Do I? Do I? Do I? Do I? I'm not gonna count. I'm not gonna count marijuana as a drug because marijuana is marijuana is a plant. It's a herb. It grows naturally. It's not something that you. Sheesh. It's not something that you manufacture in a lab. I guess now since they're growing diamonds in a lab and they're manufacturing synthetic drugs and stuff, I guess sooner or later they're going to manufacture synthetic marijuana. You know, I mean, but you're gonna have to, even if you're growing it in under what you call these grow houses and whatever, it's still coming from a natural seed. It's not like the seed is being grown in a lab somewhere, even though using fluorescent lights and all that kind of thing, right? So, uh, yeah, dude, it's a sad day for South Africa, guys. I don't want to lie. This is sad news. I never ever thought that we would be. I mean, I know we're number one in rugby, number one in cricket. I know we're number one in wine, number one in flowers, and number one in teas, and number one in everything almost, basically. Sports, you name it. But to think that we are slowly and surely becoming the drug capital of the world, man, that is something I, that is something I could never fathom. You know what I mean? At some point, we were like one of the most dangerous countries in the world. At least that's dropped. We still remain, I think, the number one dangerous country in Africa, if I'm not mistaken, outside of a war zone. You know what I mean? But to say that we are now moving in the direction of becoming the drug capital of the world, okay, that aside, what has this now brought to our shores? A lot of undesirable characters, a lot of undesirable organizations, a lot of undesirable activity. Because as it is, we had our own gangs to deal with, and they are proving to be a problematic headache for the government because they have failed to bring peace to the Cape Flats. They have failed to dismantle the gang structures. So if our government cannot handle the local, what's going to happen now when the international big players with bigger budgets and military styles weapons and armored vehicles? Because I don't know if you've ever seen, I don't know if you've ever seen YouTube videos of these cartels basically. Because when they go to war, it's like when they go to war, it's like they really go to war. They have, it's like they have these tanks basically. It's like they have these. No, I'm not saying man-made, but what's the word? What's the word? They have these self-manufactured. They're not. These are not. These are not. Um, these are not factory or these are not. What's the word? What's the word? What's the word? These are not commercially produced armored vehicles. These are like self-made, homemade. The word is homemade. Homemade. These are homemade armored vehicles. So if you go onto YouTube, just type um, Mexican cartels, armored vehicles, and you'll see what I'm talking about, right? It is shocking because these people don't. I don't know if it's almost like to say they have money because obviously they're making billions, guys. They are making billions in this trade, right? And come to think about it, Mexico has failed in its fight to contain these cartels because at one stage the cartels even um, outgunned, outmanned, outgunned the Mexican army when they arrested the sons of one of the biggest cartel bosses in Mexico. I mean, that was a huge story. You know what I'm saying? That was a huge story. Now, to think that those people are now making their way over here to South Africa, is that not going to add to the already chaotic drug problem that we have in South Africa? People, we as South Africa already have enough problems of our own. I'm not going to lie. We have housing issues, we have school issues, we have uh, crime issues, we have every type of issue that any country, that even most countries cannot even fathom. A lot of countries in the world do not have an immigration problem. Let's start there. They don't. Most most countries in the world do not have an immigration problem because most countries are not well developed. Most countries are not. So they don't have an immigration problem. South Africa is not a third world country per se, because South Africa is a third world country with first world characteristics. South Africa is actually a first world country, if you really come to think about it, because Cape Town is a world class city. Yes, it has its obvious, it has its drawbacks like any other. It's not like New York or like LA got just first world amenities wherever you go. It's not like that, right? So why would we want to think that Cape Town, sorry, why do you think that Cape Town is not on the levels of what you call it, of New York or LA or anything like that? It's world class as well. Do you know what I mean? So whatever you have in LA, we also have in Cape Town. We may not have a tram, or we may not have a double decker train, or just those other things, right? But just the views, the amenities, the infrastructure, the setup, the systems we have. I mean, we have world class banking systems. You know what I mean? So all that contributes to the influx of foreigners, right? Because they like it, they see it. I mean, take all that, illegal, the illegal foreigner issue, right? Now we're going to add now the whole drag issue to this. Now all of a sudden, it looks like we're going to be sitting on. I don't know if it's going to be a whole lot of people that are going to be uh, adding to the crime statistics and to uh, the what you call this, human trafficking, because obviously these people are going to need to come with their own workforce of some sort, you know, and including the locals. They're obviously going to recruit locals. That's only obvious, right? So South Africa is this pull factor, right? When it comes to economic benefits for most people, and that's why a lot of people are attracted to South Africa. South Africa has South Africa's laws are very lax. Again, that's another pull factor. So another sad thing is that there was this show called, I think, Zoktola or something like that. You know, it was on Moja Love, I think, of this guy. What was his name? Olani something. He was going around busting drug dealers, like the Nigerians and the Somalians, in the townships basically, right? And some little suburbs as well, but it was mainly in the townships, right? And he uncovered a lot of these smaller dealers, right? And he'd arrest them and get the police and they'd come after him and all that, right? And it was a big thing, right? If that was an issue then, What now with the big cartels coming? And those weren't even cartel people. Those are just like groups of people. You know what I mean? Doing this. Now we're adding cartels coming in now. And here's the worst thing. That show, every time this guy arrested the low level dealers, and the next guy would point out the higher up, right? The higher up the chain this guy went on that TV show I'm talking about, right? So the higher up the chain he went, it seemed he was getting closer and closer to government officials. And then they stopped him just about there. So when people tell you that the higher ups in our government are actually linked to these international crime rings, now it's beginning to make sense, right? Because everyone is out to line their own pockets. Everyone is out to create their own version of wealth. And our higher ups are not immune to that. And that is where I'm beginning to believe is the crux of the matter. These people would not be knowing, these people would not be setting up elaborate laboratories if it wasn't through the help of some higher ups, either input, um, influence, or say so. You know what I mean? So I really think that at some point, a lot of these people are really going to be held responsible at some point because people, what's happening is really, really, really not a pretty thing. Let me know what you think about this topic. Was I on the money or did I totally miss it with this one? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we family, right? Holla.